All right, our final installment on our Insider series. We wrap things up with the head coach of the Runnin Utes, Craig Smith. You and I sat in this gym, almost in this position a little over a year ago, right after you got the job, and everything was new. And we were talking about what might be, and you were still putting your team together. Now we're a year and some change later, so I need the Craig Smith look back on the year that was and how everything went in year number one for you.
Do we have to?
We can keep it short.
It's hard to believe it's 1 year
I know,
ago.
it's crazy,
in some ways it's been so fast, and in other ways it's been a lifetime ago. But you know, it's been a great transition. Obviously it was a tough season. You know, our administration, the community, the fan base have been fantastic. It's an amazing place to be. The rich tradition of excellence in our history here is just tremendous. I'm really proud to be the men's basketball coach here. But it was a tough year. You know, when the wins and losses, it's easy that stuff can have a compound effect in some ways. But I've learned a lot as a coach. There's some things that we were able to accomplish in terms of establishing our culture and the way we go about things. But obviously, I know how I've been doing this for a long time. You've been doing this for a long time. And so we know how it works. And certainly it's not up to the standards that we want or expect in terms of what we did during the season. But, you know, it's been good in terms of a lot's happened since the end of the season, right? And you got to take time to let the poison out, you know, because there was some venom in there or poison in there that we had to kind of release. And but you got to be able to do a lot of things. You got to be honest with yourself. I think self-awareness is the first step in getting back to where we need to go. And certainly, you know, as the head coach of our program, there's been a lot of self-reflection. As a basketball staff, we've had countless meetings of not finger pointing, but like being real with ourselves and what do we need to do to get this baby back to where we belong and be a nationally competitive program, not only next year, but for years to come, where it's every year, you know, you pencil in University of Utah into the NCAA tournament. And that's easy to say, you got to go do it.
Yeah.
And there's a process to that. So there's been a lot of self-assessment and reflection and recruiting and looking at different things. I love the guys that are coming back. You know, I think that's going to be a big change. Is not only are we, certainly we're going to have new pieces to our coaching staff. Chris Burgess, right, is the easy one. We still have one other position we're going to fill. We're going to have a lot of new inflection of talent. Certainly some key points that I'm sure we'll talk about that we really tried to identify to bring into our program that we were really lacking, right? But going through the league for the first time, you know, I was in the Big Ten for 2 years. Big Ten is a different league than the Pac-12. Certainly coming freshly from the Mountain West and Utah State, but learning the league and what it takes and had some really good teams in our league. But I'm excited of what we've been able to do the last couple months. I'm excited in the direction that our program is going, and we have a little bit of a lull, I guess you could say, with our guys going home for about 5 weeks if they choose to. We have a couple guys that are consistently in here every day getting things done, but I think it's important for them to be able to go home, especially our young guys, and just kind of recharge, rejuvenate, and come back here on June 13th. And when they get their physicals, and we're going full steam ahead in lifting and conditioning, and then with our summer workouts where we get them for 8 straight weeks. Then they'll have about 2.5 weeks to go home, and then it's on when the school season begins. So it's been a whirlwind, but an exciting one, and couldn't be happier to be at the University of Utah.
The first job any new staff has, head coach or whatever, is kind of instilling your culture, philosophy, what you want to do, how you want to play, how you want to run things. It didn't seem like you had any trouble with that last year. It felt like there was buy-in almost immediately, and it felt like throughout the year, you didn't lose anybody. Everybody was pretty dialed in on that. When you did the self-reflection, as you look back on it, from just a basketball side of things,
Yeah.
what was maybe the thing that was lacking last year from you as you guys did your self-reflection on the basketball, and that maybe you targeted this off-season to try to fill?
I mean, you know, we got to have more depth on the front line. without a question. And we knew that going into that season. We didn't have a lot of depth, which is usually not an issue in our team. We're always, the last 2 years at Utah, we were the biggest team in the country. Yeah. Literally the biggest team a year ago and the second biggest 2 years before, or the year before that. So, and then of course we had some injury issues that way, but more than anything, there were some things we weren't able to do schematically, I felt like, that we just had issues with. We have to improve our size, our athleticism, our physicality. Like those things really stood out to me. And when I say that, I'm saying across the board. When I say we got to improve our size, like bigger guards, stronger guards, right? Bigger, big guys, stronger, big guys. More physicality. There's just times where, and some of that is just guys that are naturally aggressive, right? And naturally physical, but also what goes hand in hand with that is being in the weight room and improving our athleticism, but our strength. You don't want guys that look like me. We need more guys that are built like you, right? and that are just have that where you can push. We're not getting pushed around. We're pushing other people around. And one of the traits our teams have always been known for is, man, you guys look like a football team. And I'm like, and you play like a football team. And it's like, yeah, that's why we're good. Yeah. Because we have the girth, so to speak, or the size, athleticism, quick twitch, explosiveness, like where there's a 50-50 ball or a loose ball, and we're gonna get that ball, right? And last year we didn't get most of, I'm not saying we didn't get some of those, but the majority I felt like we were half a step behind. Now our guys played really hard. I didn't think we ever gave up. Like it was very far and few between. We had a great culture where we wanted to show up and be the best that we can be, but certainly on the recruiting trail and with our current guys recruiting, that's been a point of emphasis, is playing with physicality, playing with aggression, being the first to the ball, being the toughest team, right? And then recruiting guys that can help us implement the scheme that we want to do. There were certainly some things that specifically defensively that we struggled with, and it was hard, it was difficult for us to get to be able to do some things that I like to do that I know impact winning, but that's part of it. As a coach, you got to adapt and you got to adjust and do what you feel like puts your team in a position to be the very best that they can be. So every team's a little bit different that way, but I feel like, and then we've increased our athleticism, right, and our speed in a major way. I talked a lot when I got hired, or a year ago today, not exactly today, but a year ago, we want to bring the Runnin Utes back to the Runnin Utes. And we had that at times, but certainly not the way that we wanted to, right? And we almost had to be a little more opportunistic that way just because of our lack of speed and athleticism. And then we got to get better on the offensive end, on both ends, but a little bit on the offensive end. And I thought we shot a lot of threes. I don't want to shoot as many threes as we shot. It became like almost our identity. And we got to be able to attack the paint, get 2 feet in the paint, right? Get fouled more. Now we were number 15 in the country in our free throw percentage, and we got fouled a decent amount, but it still has to be higher than what it was. So we need more playmaking ability, right, off the bounce. But I do like the guys coming back. And then on the defensive end, there was a lot of issues. We lacked rim protection. We created no turnovers. So when you don't create turnovers, you're not creating some of those simple baskets where you can get 4 to 8 points a game just off of turnovers or transition or getting fouled, right? Those sorts of things. But we weren't where we need to be on that end of the floor and weren't able to finish a lot of possessions where we maybe defended well for 20 seconds and they would find a way to score, in a myriad of ways. So I'm excited about our recruitment. I think those guys will fit well with the guys that are returning. We're going to be very young as a whole, but really excited about these guys. And we got a long way to go. We got to learn a lot because at the end of the day, the Pac-12 is one of the best leagues, not only in college basketball, it's one of the best leagues in the world, and it's big boy basketball, and you got to be able to show up and compete on a night in and out, night out basis.
All right, I want to ask you about two.
It's only 2 questions so far, Bill.
I know.
I got to learn it. I'm a little rusty. Haven't done this for a little bit.
You haven't talked for a little bit?
Well, I've talked plenty to recruits and a lot of various people, but I got to get back. I got to be sharp in the saw.
All right, that's why I'm only going to ask you about 2 players you brought in. You talked about athleticism and physicality.
Yeah.
The athleticism in the backcourt, Mike Saunders. a kid that played his high school ball here, finished up at Wasatch Academy, played a year and a half over at Cincinnati. So Coach Morris had a little bit of a relationship. I think you did too. Is he going to add that athleticism you need at the point spot?
You better. He is. He's like, if anybody's seen the movie The Incredibles, he's like Dash from The Incredibles. I mean, that dude is so fast.
Okay.
And a freak athlete. And he's bigger. He is really stuck together. He is a rock. And tenacious defender. Like, he loves to guard. And I don't mean he doesn't love playing. He likes the ball in his hands too, but like, he wants to play both ends. He has a monster impact on winning. And so he can really guard people. He's the kind of guard that can pick up 94 feet. I'm not saying we're doing that, but he could do that. He can really get into the ball. He's super physical and rugged. And when you have a guy on the point, and I think he's a versatile defender. He doesn't have to just guard the point. He can guard a multitude of guys because he's so strong. And he's a legit 6'1", maybe not quite 6'2", but pushing that. So he's bigger than you realize, but he doesn't look 6'2" because he's so wide. He's so strong. But when you have a guy that can pick up and get into the ball and you're not worried about getting blown by, it makes everybody else on your team a lot quicker because you're not worried about having to be quite so tight into your gaps, right, to create. So I think that's going to allow us to get out and maybe get in the passing lanes a little bit more and create some turnovers. But then he has the electricity to get by a guy to either hand, right, and make the right play, getting 2 feet in the paint, whether it's getting to the rim and getting fouled. He needs to get better at that because he's so explosive. He can dunk it every which way, and he's just got that quick twitch burst. He's got a little Barry Sanders in him in terms of he can go sprint, stop, slideways, boom, boom, boom. He's got that kind of game to him a little bit. So I think he's going to be able to get downhill and create a lot of easy opportunities for his teammates and for himself, which is obviously going to help our team.
And on the physicality side of things, you added another Carlson to your front court.
BC.
You have another BC. When you yell BC at practice, two heads are going to turn now. You've got Brandon already, and then you went back to the Midwest, got a transfer from Wisconsin, a program known for its toughness and physicality, and you added Big Ben Carlson.
Yeah, so when Ben from Wisconsin was on his visit here, BC walked into the gym. He goes, "Coach, I'm glad we got Ben." See, I can't keep it straight. I haven't coached him yet, but he goes, "I'm glad if Ben's a good player, like I'm super glad. He seems like a nice guy, but I got dibs on BC. I was the first one here. He's not taking over BC, so we got to come up with a nickname." But you're right. He, Ben, and I'm not crazy into the stars, but Ben was a 4-star guy at a high school. Great size. I mean, he's a legitimate 6'9". 230 pounds. He loves the weight room. I think he'll even get bigger. Got good athleticism, runs really well, got very good 2-footed pop off the floor. His numbers, I think he's a lot better than maybe his numbers showed at Wisconsin. Top 15 program, very physical, rugged league. He's not afraid of physicality, total team guy. He knows how to win. He's been around winning his whole life. Played at a very high level in high school in Minnesota. And his team was always good. So he has those intangibles of winning. Just like you brought up Mike. Mike's the same way. Transferring from Cincinnati, Wasatch Academy, they were one of the best high school teams in the country. And that matters. Understanding winning and knowing what it takes, that stuff matters. But then he's one of those guys, he's a very good offensive rebounder. He really attacks the ball with 2 hands. Great instincts for the game. He'll play our style of play in Wisconsin's. Doesn't mean ours is more right than theirs, but it's very different. And I think he'll have a great opportunity to thrive in terms of how we play. He played some point guard in high school, which you don't see very often, right? At 6'9", maybe 6'8.5". So I think he's going to bring a lot of versatility to our team and great knowledge, and he'll have 3 years to play as well, just like Mike Saunders.
All right, let's wrap it up here with Coach, because he and I could talk forever about this, and we don't want to make Sarah have to edit for days to cut this interview down a little bit.
That's job security for Sarah. What are you talking about?
What has you most excited about this group? A year ago, everything was new, and it's still relatively new, but it's year 2. You've got a feel for your staff. You've got a feel for the program. This group of guys, what has you most excited about this particular group and potential there?
There's so many things. I just think there's, for the first time since I've been here, I feel like truly my feet are on the ground. In our staff, every job's a little bit different. So knowing the job, the ins and outs of it, not just on the floor, but with this group of guys, young men, I love who's returning. They understand what we're trying to accomplish. A lot of young guys that were able to get valuable game experience last year. A guy like Lazar Stefanovic, yeah, he's only going to be a sophomore, but the amount of minutes he was able to play as a freshman, he's not your typical sophomore, right? Gabe Matson played a lot late in the year. Marco coming back and BC coming back, and those guys are very determined and weren't real happy with the way how things went last year, right? Or you talk about Raleigh, all those guys coming back. But the new guys coming in, I think, really blend, and the returners and the new guys accentuate each other. I like the way the team is built. And more than all, we got a bunch of gym rats coming in here. Like, if you took basketball away from them, I don't know what they'd do. Now, that doesn't mean they're not great people and are going to go to school and they're going to take care, but there's a genuine passion and love for the game. And you're going to see guys that they're not just going to talk the talk, they're going to walk the walk. I mean, our practices are going to be a battle royale, right? We love wrestling, right?
Yeah.
It would be like, I forget,
Ric
WrestleMania 30.
Flair,
Yeah.
Ric Flair against Roddy Piper.
I mean, and you know, we didn't talk about all those guys because of time, but there's some legit athleticism, physicality, but a camaraderie, and I think a real group that truly is going to have great pride and has great pride in the University of Utah, and that matters. And so I think these guys have a thirst for learning and wanting to be coached, and they're high achievers, but yet have they're humble. And it's easy to say all this now in front of the cameras, and it's whatever date it is today, you know, before we even start and workout. And everybody thinks they're playing 30 minutes a game, but just vetting through and getting to know these guys and knowing what we need, I'm just so pumped to get them all together. And I think there's a genuine excitement out of them and our staff to get rolling, right? And can't wait to get it going. So, you know, I don't know, our goal every year is to make the NCAA tournament. We've always been steadfast on that. Who knows where we're going to go? We got a lot of work to do, but I just can't wait to start coaching them, being around them on a day-to-day basis, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yes, we will. Craig, thanks.
Hey, good to see you, Bill.
You too,
Look
Craig.
at that wavy hair like that. He's been working on that the last few months. You can tell it's baseball season and soccer.
And soccer.